Hey y'all, it's Catherine, and this past Saturday, Nick and I went to the Minneapolis Institute of Arts, or MIA, or MIA for short. This is a great free art museum in the Minneapolis area. Obviously, it's Minneapolis Institute, and it was finally open after being closed because of COVID, and we wanted to check it out. He hadn't been in 10 years, and I hadn't been in like 4, so we thought it would be a fun thing for us to do together, and free nonetheless. I'll be the first to admit, I don't like everything at art museums by any means, and this is really no exception. But it's great to see such a diversity of like traditional art, slightly more modern art, and everything in between. There was painters I recognized a lot that I didn't, most that I didn't, and that's okay with me. That said, I definitely had some favorites during this trip, and I have some tips for how people who may not think they're good at art can approach it. That said, I want to share some tips for kind of approaching art as a bit of a newbie. I didn't really consider myself artistic as a kid, but now as I've grown up, I've realized I like trying to experiment with different styles and with the resources I have at my disposal, so to speak. That said, here's my tips for trying art, so let's get into the video. Number 1 is copying what you see. This isn't bad if it's just for practice, really. I learned this in an art class way back. I learned about it as a way to practice. You know, you see something, you think you like the style, you think, oh, how could I do that? Well, copy it. See if you actually can like re-execute it by seeing different elements of an art piece. Now, I don't mean trying to recreate a perfect Renaissance painting. I'm talking more about like redrawing a cartoon character, or even a Bob Ross painting. Watching one of his tutorials, grabbing the colors you need so you have the right stuff in your arsenal, and going from there to try and follow his guidance, or really any artist. Thomas Kinkade, I think, does some great art. I'm not sure what kind of tutorials there are for that, but I think I followed his art during a homeschool curriculum back in like 2005, and that's now coming back to me. Number 2 is making it for a specific purpose or person. For me, this means making it for my home sometimes. If I'm like, oh, I have a blank spot on that wall, either I'll look for something specific or I'll make it for myself, especially because I like to try and be frugal, and if I see something and I figure, oh, I can redraw that and make it mine, that works for me. That, or drawing it for someone else. I have a painting of my sister's that she painted up in my dining room, and I get asked if I painted a lot, but it is my favorite of hers. I also have drawn other things for my house personally, namely a Mickey Mouse drawing. It was supposed to go in my bathroom, but I don't have the right paper, I don't want to buy a frame, and because that using sticky tack did not work with the moisture from using the shower, so it stays in my bedroom. It looks like this. I first traced it with a pencil, then went over it with black paint, all from just a pin I saw on Pinterest, and that's been pretty common for me lately to see something on Pinterest or have an idea based off colors I saw on Pinterest even, and recreating that. My third tip is to make a bit of a mess. That doesn't mean like ruin stuff at all, or like make it a mess that you can't clean up in the long run. It means to kind of make a mess on a piece of paper, experiment more with colors, and just like, this is something I drew in the midst of COVID when I was stuck at home. I was like, I want to see what all these colors look like, what kind of shapes I can create. And it's nothing that'll really go up. Doesn't really have a purpose, but it challenged me to see what my different brushes could make, what colors I could create on my palette, and whatnot. So that's making a mess. Number 4 is to try just going somewhere with your favorite colors. Pick 3 or so colors and just make something. This was one of the first ones that I did in this notebook that my sister gave me. This paper's not made for acrylic, but it works. I can still get ideas on paper. I really love rose, navy, or blush, navy, and champagne sort of gold. So I wanted to just combine them. I wanted to go really abstract as well as really clean. So I combined the two as well as I could with my knowledge of art and what I could do. Number 5 is that it doesn't have to look perfect. This really goes along with the fact that you can make a little bit of a mess. No one has to see what you draw, and you can practice as much as you need to or paint over things. Obviously, you should be trying your best, but sometimes that means experimenting with a funny doodle or using colors that may or may not work, but to see what happens, and that could get your creativity flowing. Number 6 is to use a medium that might not always be associated with quote-unquote art, at least as far as my brain kind of took it growing up. I have come to really like interior design, making my home, or apartment so to speak, and styling fashion, and whatever else. Even like knitting, cross stitch, maybe it's like plating and cooking and trying to make a dish look just like a work of art. As food is drawn often enough, you can make the real thing. So combining just all that creativity and different ways of doing art, I would definitely encourage. As someone who is definitely still very much new to art and trying to learn it, trying to see where I can take it, I want to try different things. I'm trying to do more cooking, trying to do more interior design. As you could see in what I did a couple videos ago with redecorating my dresser, or even with this restyling my sister and her trying to style me as well. It's not like the kind of art that you may see in a museum, but I still think it's creative. Or even making YouTube videos, case in point. I'd consider this creative, and what I have to do for editing and anything else you do on a channel, I think that's all art. And even if someone else doesn't like it, don't force them to, but you can still create it. Number 7 is to trace things. I recently learned this in a basics art class, and I thought it was helpful. It's a little weird to have the after result be on tracing paper, but I thought it was helpful to try and see if I could recreate through the paper what I actually did see, and to see my artwork kind of match up with something else, even though I did change it through my own idea from what exactly I was tracing. And I thought that was pretty helpful, trying to see through another style, so to speak, but through my eyes, obviously. Don't let the fact that you're a newbie slow you down. Don't let the fact that you could only draw stick figures growing up, or that your paintings were very rudimentary all the way up until the age you are now. Look at something, copy it, use any of these other tips to create something and see where it lands. See if you can create something that's just your style, that's just something you came up with. Alright, those are my tips for new artists like myself trying to figure out how to approach the world of art and creativity, and maybe design could be a word to use with this all. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye. I also wanted to show off these pieces I found in the art museum. I love that they're antiques, so there you go.